Well, hello, 5 of you. Thank you all for coming so quickly. I'm afraid I'm not so musically knowledgeable that I can answer Philip Daniels' question on romantic hyperchromaticism or free atonality or 12-tone composition or serialism or allotoricism or spectralism. And Philip Daniel was always completely wrong that he thought I would do anything to the better, more attractive sides of Western culture that made the rest of the world think that it was superior or even supreme. There's quite a difference to, well, orchestras and classical music to R&B and rap and drill music and all the modern degenerate abominations of the 21st century. Your stereotypical views of Islam is really very exasperating. You should know that I am fairly knowledgeable about Western culture and the different genres of music. I'm not exactly a Philistine. There's nothing in the Quran that says ban music. But we gathered here today to talk about the current predicament of Millennial Woes. Some of you will be interested to know that Mark Collett intends to stream at British Summertime 19 hours, presumably to discuss further the expulsion of Millennial Woes from the Patriotic Alternative. I haven't any further information, actually. I just listened to what Mark Collett said about Millennial Woes, and I thought, here's something I would like to say, and I didn't quite get round to saying it in my recent streams on the same subject. And I should play it for you in order that you may acquaint yourself of the nature of the accusations said, if you haven't already heard it. So I will start now. Oh, apologies, I seem to have closed the window, which means I have to open it again. I think I've opened the wrong window. Now I've got to open the other one that I also accidentally closed. It's on the wrong page. It's annoying when you get everything right and then you kind of undo your own work and you have to do it again. It's very silly. Okay, now we go to the tweet of that excerpt of Mark Collett's speech that I want to play for you.
Those allegations.
Okay, let's start right
at Colin, and one of those allegations relates to a woman who attended the last Patriotic Alternative Conference, and he met at the Patriotic Alternative Conference. However, again, it is very, very important to point out that his first contact with her was not there, but online before the conference. It was not that he met her there. Again, this is being erroneously reported for reasons of point scoring. Now, as all of you will know, at Patriotic Alternative, it is our only wish for our conferences and events to be absolutely safe and enjoyable experiences for all attendees, regardless of their age, sex, or any other characteristic. And we will never compromise on that. And that is why we have taken the following actions. Colin Robertson will no longer be invited to speak at Patriotic Alternative events, and he will no longer be welcome at Patriotic Alternative events in any capacity. We are taking all allegations made against him with a great deal of care. We're taking them very, very seriously, and we have spoken to the girl in question that has been mentioned. People who are saying that she is in some way underage or that she has been groomed again, that is complete nonsense, absolute nonsense. But since this matter has come to light, we have been in constant contact with her. We have fully supported her, and we have taken great lengths to listen to her and to view the other allegations being made by different women. And as you know, recently, I became a father myself to a little girl. And that has only increased my resolve in making sure that the women in Britain, in our wider society, are safe, but women at our events and our movement are always afforded the full respect.
Okay, that's the end of the clip. I thought I'd play it once for you to hear it all the way through, and then we can go through it bit by bit. Now, don't you think it sounds as if Mark Collett has tried and convicted Millennial Woes of being a serial sex offender? And I wonder what the upshot of it will be. Will these women who accused him be calling the cops or anything of that nature? Or will they just forget about the whole thing? But the impression for the rest of us is that he's been found guilty. Now, whether you like him or not, should this be done to anyone so easily? This is something all men should find very disturbing indeed. Now let us play that speech again, and I'll stop at the point that I think I should draw your attention to.
At Colin, and one of those allegations...
Oh, that's good, isn't it? One of those allegations, so there's already a suggestion that there's more than one allegation. When were they made? At the conference? And what are those allegations? We don't know, do we? But of course, it is about, if it's from a woman or women, it would be about sexual impropriety.
Relates to a woman who attended the last Patriotic Alternative Conference, and he met at the Patriotic Alternative Conference. However, again, it is very, very important to point out that his first contact with her was not there, but online before the conference. It was not that he met her there. Again, this is being erroneously reported for reasons of point scoring.
Right. Mark seems very much exercised by the suggestion that the first time Millennial Woes met this woman who made these allegations. Is it this allegation or these allegations? We're not sure. But anyway, Mark wants us all to know that Millennial Woes met this woman before he arrived at this conference. I don't know why it's so important and why it makes such a difference to him and why he thinks people who mistakenly say that the first time Millennial Woes met this woman who made the allegations is someone who he had just first met at the conference or met before. I don't see the significance of this, but let's carry on.
Now, as all of you will know, at Patriotic Alternative, it is our only wish for our conferences and events to be absolutely safe and enjoyable experiences for all attendees, regardless of their age, sex, or any other characteristic.
Or any other characteristic. What if you're Antifa? What if you're Labour? What if you're gay? What if you're Jewish? What if you're Muslim? I don't think. Or what if you were me? Would I be welcome at the Patriotic Alternative Conference? I have a number of characteristics. I'm sure they'll find some way of excluding me, I'm sure. But I only mention this because it's inaccurate, isn't it, to say such a thing? If Mark Collett is saying that anyone and everyone is welcome, then that wouldn't be quite true, would it? Let's carry on.
And we will never compromise on that. And that is...
Yes, and he did go on about women. What if you're a transgender Jew who's converted to Islam and is now a member of the Labour Party and active in Antifa? I mean, I'm sure Mark wouldn't like it if you turned up and were black. You could be black and Jewish and Muslim and transgender and I suppose transgender people can be said to be gay or I don't know, but yes, you can think of all these characteristics that you can imagine Mark Collett and his associates to possibly find unattractive, shall we say.
This is why we have taken the following actions. Colin Robertson will no longer be invited to speak at Patriotic Alternative events, and he will no longer be welcome at Patriotic Alternative events in any capacity.
Well, if you say that about somebody who has merely had an allegation made against him, this suggests that you have found him guilty. Do we know what kind of process that was used to discover his guilt? We don't know. We really don't know. We don't even know what he's been accused of. The way he's talking makes him sound like a serial sex offender, but will these women who make these allegations be going to the police to prove beyond reasonable doubt that he is indeed guilty of these serial sex offences, as we are led to think by what Mark Collett has said? We don't know. We can only wonder and try to read between the lines.
We are taking all allegations made against him with a great deal of care.
Okay, a great deal of care. Is there just a suggestion that if you're female and making the accusations against a male, that care will be taken to believe your allegations? Is that the care that Mark Collett is talking about? What about the accused? Is care taken to ensure that the charges are properly made, for there to be a proper investigation of the alleged offence? We don't know. There is only silence, but perhaps in a few hours the position will be clarified a little bit more.
We're taking them very, very seriously, and we have spoken to the girl in question that has been mentioned, people who are saying that she is in some way underage or that she has been groomed again. That is complete nonsense.
Grooming, that's such a loaded word, isn't it? I always think of horses when people talk about grooming or personal grooming, brush your hair, shave if you're a man, I don't know, just cut your fingernails, I don't know. It's that sort of thing. But grooming suggests that there's something illegal about it. It's to do with underage sex. But in a way, aren't all women being groomed? Let me just look up the word. I always find it, these words are being used very, very carelessly, and we sort of accept it without inquiring any further, thinking we know what it already means. Groom. Brush and clean the coat of a horse, dog, or other animal. Prepare or train someone for a particular purpose or activity. It could all be quite innocent, apparently. Look after a lawn, a ski slope, or other surface. What does it mean to groom a woman? Grooming is the predatory act of maneuvering another individual into a position that makes them more isolated, dependent, likely to trust, and more vulnerable to abusive behaviour. The goal is to prepare the other person for abuse, for example, sexual or financial, at a later time. Oh, there's no suggestion that it's to do with underage sex. It was only my subjective opinion that when people talk about grooming, it's always about children. So, there's only one example sentence. The first example was, his mother was always impeccably groomed. Okay, so from the Cambridge Dictionary doesn't really give many interesting definitions. Let's have a look at other websites. Well, Wikipedia has an entry on child grooming. Let's try Merriam-Webster. Yeah, they're the best website. I think they give you lots of example sentences. But it seems to be more a British word. It's rather innocently. It says, to clean and care for an animal, to make someone neat and attractive, to make something neat, smooth, or attractive. Yes, and of course the bridegroom is a groom, a groomer, in the sense that he has been grooming, I imagine. During courtship is this woman to have sex and children with. All right. Let's go back to what Mark Collett was saying.
Absolute nonsense. But since this matter has come to light, we have been in constant contact with her. We have fully supported her, and we have taken great lengths to listen to her and to view the other allegations being made by different women. And as you know, recently...
Okay, so he's made a point of saying allegations have been made about him by different women, not just one woman, the one he met at the Patriotic Alternative Conference, but others.
I became a father myself to a little girl, and that has only increased my resolve in making sure that the women in Britain, in our wider society, are safe, but women at our events and our movement are always afforded the full respect at Colin. And
yes, because he has a daughter, he will ensure that women are given the fullest possible respect. Now, what if Mark had had a son? Would his attitude be significantly different? Would he then err on the side of caution in believing these uncorroborated allegations? We don't know. Well, we still don't know what these allegations are. Perhaps we will never have a proper charge sheet made up to explain why Mark has taken this view, why he has decided to believe these different allegations of different women. I don't know. But there's just a hint that, if you have a daughter, you're just going to err on the side of believing the female complainant. Is that quite the right attitude to take? I rather wonder. It's almost sort of saying, I'm not really going to be fair about this. If I have all daughters, I'm just going to believe all allegations are made by women against men. But if all my offspring were sons, I would make a point of disbelieving these women. Is that a sign of judicious impartiality? I think not.
One of those allegations relates to a woman who attended the last Patriotic Alternative Conference, and he met at the Patriotic Alternative Conference. However, again, again, it is very, very important to point out that his first contact with her was not there, but online before the conference. It was not that he met her there. Again.
Right, and Mark Collett now seems to be saying that there is yet another woman that he met at another Patriotic Front Alternative Conference. And that woman, another woman, was met online before he went to the previous Patriotic Alternative Conference. Something like that. I'm not sure myself, really. I just thought I'd mention it.
This is being erroneously reported for reasons of point scoring.
Oh, sorry, it's just been repeated.
Now,
okay, let me just see where it is now.
Capacity. We are taking all allegations made against him with a great deal of care. We're taking them very, very seriously. And we have spoken to the girl in question that has been mentioned, people who are saying that she is in some way underage or that she has been groomed. Again, that is complete nonsense, absolute nonsense. But since this matter has come to light, we have been in constant contact with her. We have fully supported her, and we have taken great lengths to listen to her and to view the other allegations being made by different women. And as you know, recently, I became a father myself to a little girl, and that has only increased my resolve in making sure that the women in Britain, in our wider society, are safe, but women at our events and our movement are always afforded the full respect. At Colin.
Okay, that's the end. Sorry, it kind of repeated and I thought it was new. Okay, so I guess I finished making my points, really. That there is more than one allegation and there are more than one woman. There's more than one woman making more than one allegation of sexual misconduct. And apparently that it is so serious that Mark Collett has expelled him without specifying what they were. And I don't know, he hasn't been saying anything, so we don't know if he accepts these allegations, if he... my advice to him would be to demand a list of these accusations from these women, and I imagine that would be the wise thing, because otherwise you might incriminate yourself, mightn't you? But I do wonder, really, tactically, assuming that I was male and I was a political activist. Now, who would be more useful to nationalism? These women who are groupies, I suppose, are groupies. They see a vaguely famous YouTuber, they throw themselves at him or allow him to bed them, or, well, the individual YouTuber who gives out the message. I think I would err on the side of, the people who actually have a contribution to make to the movement, rather than the women who accuse them of sexual misconduct, particularly if it cannot be proven or if they don't take it any further. And that's the thing. I seem to remember some years ago a similar thing happened with the Socialist Workers' Party. So it seems obvious to me that if you have rock stars, there will be groupies. I'm not saying for a moment that Millennial Woes is a rock star, but I suppose he's a significant member. He has a YouTube channel that got him in the news. So, there'll be, fame-hungry women who will probably throw themselves at such men. Now, I'm not saying... Now, what am I saying? Obviously, they shouldn't do these things. Should they? Well, obviously, if you have sex with a man, if you're a woman having sex with a man and you're feeling a little used, a little exploited, well, wasn't that your mistake for putting out so early? And if you're a man who unthinkingly accepted every offer of sex going because of these groupies who've been throwing themselves at you, and you feel a little betrayed when you hear things being said about you and your perhaps clumsy methods of courtship, I don't know, obviously it should be telling you that you maybe shouldn't have done what you did. But really what I'm more interested in is what these allegations are, whether they're going to actually be taken further. If they're so terrible, then it should be heard in court, where the criminal standard of proof is required. Or should men's reputations be destroyed by the uncorroborated testimony of a possibly lying witness? We just don't know, do we? It's easy to make these allegations, isn't it? So my advice to Millennial Woes is to ask for a list of accusations made by whoever and invite them to call the cops and make them out properly. And then get them to prove that he was guilty of all these terrible things that he's supposed to have done. Otherwise, I guess these allegations will just hover over him forever. I mean, is it right that a woman can have an indefinite period of time to think about whether to make the allegations or not? We remember the Kavanaugh hearings, don't we? Apparently Kavanaugh wasn't really worth suing or getting him arrested for until he decided to allow his name to go forward to be appointed a judge of the Supreme Court. And only then was it worthwhile making those allegations against him. So suppose men with anything to lose will be in this position. And it might be completely false. You might never have met them. It's quite possible, I suppose, for lots of women to agree to make a whole bunch of accusations. Well, I suppose you'd have to be in a certain place or whatever. But I suppose these days most men will have slept with quite a few women, particularly if they have been successful. So I guess it's quite easy to make these allegations, particularly if the criminal process no longer requires a criminal standard of proof. It is a little surprising that Mark Collett doesn't quite understand this. I mean, due process is important, but really, I guess nationalists don't really understand these abstract concepts and will use whatever rules they have to do whatever they can. Abuse of power would be par for the course. I have power, therefore it is there to be abused. I don't like you anymore. I will stab you in the front and the back. But what really concerns me is the criminal standard of proof. It doesn't matter whether Millennial Woes did it or not. I'm sure that they'll, we all have incidents in our lives that we, don't feel quite comfortable with. But the point is, should it result in reputational ruin by, well, I suppose ironically, by your own side. I don't know. What is it? Anyway, obviously I don't know. I haven't heard anything new. We can only learn a little more later at 7 p.m. British Summer Time as to what further information there will be available, that will be made available to us. So I'll read the chat again and then I'll end the stream. Yeah, the other thing I was going to say is low status men would be thirsty for female attention, so it would be quite easy, to lay lots of honey traps for them because they are so desperate. So I think you should have clear rules of what is appropriate or not appropriate, and the fact is that this story only broke on the 29th of April, in fact, and the conference took place on the 16th, 14th, 15th, 16th, I think that there were 3 days to the conference, wasn't there? So, it took these women, all that time to think of saying, what? He groped me, he did stuff to me before I even met her. I don't know. But, if they're saying, he assaulted them at the conference, well, they should have said so at the time, right? And hopefully there will be, witnesses if he did something of a violent or sexual nature, if that is being alleged. But if he just, I don't know, sent obscene photographs, well, the thing is, we don't know. We can only speculate wildly, and, but anyway, this is all, the kind of drama that we like, isn't it? Savage Feet says he's not an activist. He sits behind his camera with his begging bowl, recruiting his viewers to massage his ego further at so-called conferences. Well, this is what political activism is now. There's no point even forming your own political party. So I guess the same could be said of me. I suppose ideally people want, to think, wow, I'm so charismatic, I can start my own cult of personality. I think I know somebody who wants to do that. But the point is, the message has to be first conveyed in an attractive and appealing way. It doesn't matter what your message is, you have to communicate it. You could be far left, far right, or whatever. And from a tactical point of view, it would be the people who are best at communication who are more valuable than possibly promiscuous women making possibly false allegations, or allegations that when you look at it in totality that don't actually amount to a sexual offence, right? So we need more detail about what he was supposed to have done, and I don't think it would be acceptable to those on his side to just let the matter drop. Like, well, you've accused me of wrongdoing. What the hell was it? Who said it? Are you just going to assume that I am guilty because you don't like me anymore? Do people get a chance to defend themselves in nationalism when they're accused of stuff? I know I wasn't. Once you're accused, an accusation is as good as a conviction. Is this the kind of society you want to live in? It's just something I think people should know about how people behave, to their own people. If they behave to their own people in this way, think what they will do to you if you're not even a member of their group, eh? So this is something for nationalists to consider, and perhaps they do realise it. They realise that they can't do anything because everyone is so treacherous. No one will stick up for a principle. They'll just get frightened and be grateful that it wasn't them that had the finger pointed at them. Is this the kind of society that would be a vast improvement on the one we have now? I invite you to consider this, and I think that's all I have to say on the matter. Thank you for coming by and listening to me. I hope I've been reasonably clear about what I've been trying to say. I'm sure I'll be speaking to you again very soon.